episode of the All Walks of Life podcast. In today's episode, I sat down with Narpat, also known as the Next Door Mind Reader. He is basically a mind reader or a mentalist by profession, which was really interesting to speak to because I haven't really spoken to anyone of that sort before. So it was really interesting to hear his perspectives of the kind of work he does and really interesting things such as planting thoughts into people's brains, which I thought that was only fiction when I saw movies such as The Inception and things like that. But when he spoke about it, it actually seemed very, very interesting. Just something I'd like to point out is that just before you watch the interview today, I'd really like you guys to go and look at his YouTube channel. He has some good clips of the stuff he does and also some of the live shows he's put out. So if you do look at his work, you'll be able to better understand this interview, to see the kind of work he does in the mentalism space, which is really interesting in my opinion. I'd really recommend a watch. Other than that, some of the other topics we spoke about were spirituality, how spirituality and religion may be separate in my eyes. However, he thought that spirituality cannot be defined as such, as very subjective, or at least we haven't come up with an objective answer through the mediums as science and other mediums that we have in use today. Other aspects we spoke about were God and what his definition of God was, which I found really different, I'd say, because I haven't seen someone speak about God in the way he spoke about God. And yeah, I'd really appreciate you guys go and check out his YouTube channel to see the stuff he does. And I'd really recommend this interview if anyone's really interested in understanding how people read minds, basically. He'd say that isn't what he does, but he's really humble. So just before we start the episode, I'd really appreciate to subscribe to the YouTube channel or anywhere else that you find us on the social media platforms, all linked in the YouTube show notes. And yeah, do enjoy the podcast. Yep. Hi Narpat, welcome to the All Walks of podcast. It's a pleasure to have you on, sir.
Hi Sean, my pleasure, man. Thanks a lot. Thanks for inviting. My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, how have you been spending your time during the quarantine period then?
I decided to go within myself than going out. So yeah, good. Lot of time for myself and
yeah. Narpat, for the viewers, maybe if you could give a little bit about yourself, what exactly is the role of a mentalist in today's society?
My definition is different probably from what others would say. I'm a psychological entertainer. I kind of entertain people under the pretext of reading minds, and I'm a strong believer nobody can genuinely read minds. That is my philosophy. That is what I tell my audiences. But everybody has got every mentalist will have a different answer. Some people will say what they're doing is real. Some people may choose to not give you no explanation. I choose to give you an explanation. The explanation is I'm just a psychological entertainer. Within the story of reading your mind, I'm conveying a lot of message. It does look real. It does look very, very real. But I'm the creator is saying it is not. So it's a very new thing in India. So hopefully this will become a big thing later. I mean, soon, very soon. It's already happening.
No, I mean, I've in tech talks as well that you believe it's as you mentioned, it's like a performance you put out. It's a performance that you put out in front of like these. But do you think that, as you mentioned, there are some mentalists or some mind readers who would still say that they have some sort of power on the individual? Do you think that they're saying it because, let's say, they want to viewers feel that comes into the picture?
Your voice is kind of breaking, but I'm just assuming this is what you would have asked me. So are you asking me that what is my opinion on other mentalists who kind of claim their own this? I don't advocate anything, but in my opinion, honestly, it is wrong to sell something that you cannot do. Because with the same skill set I have, I can choose to tomorrow, I can choose to act like I can heal you, or I can choose to act like I can bring gold or money or fortune for you with the same skill set I have.
Hmm.
So in my opinion, it's very important to say what you're doing is whether real. If somebody is pulling off some real shit, probably they can. But I really doubt there
Hmm.
is somebody who can really genuinely read minds. Um, yeah. So my opinion is the performer has to be very clear in terms of his communication based around the methodologies he or she uses.
Right.
Yeah, it's
So
very
you
important.
talk about, let's say that in your perception, at least, yeah, you say that in your perception that it's opinion, you feel that it's very difficult, or it's almost impossible for someone to read minds. So then
No,
how do you practice? Let's say, create illusions that you've called your performance as? How do you create illusions in the viewers and the people who come to watch you?
one, I'm not very sure if there is somebody who can genuinely read minds, but my opinion or my belief is if there was somebody who can genuinely do this, maybe a few yogis can, but they won't be performing. I'm a performer, right? They
Hmm.
won't be performing at
Yeah.
events for money.
Yeah.
For money. If, think of this, if I really had powers, why would I perform for a cost? I mean, people
Hmm.
hire me, right?
Hmm.
I would
Hmm.
rather make money in my mind or make money, right? So if there is somebody who's really born with this, they won't be advertising themselves. They won't be in the real world. Probably in the spiritual world, probably Himalayan um, gurus might be able to do this genuinely. But if the real world, if I'm selling myself, right? I'm just an artist.
Yeah.
At the same time, there's nothing answering your question. There's nothing called a mind reading trick. When you say
Hmm.
magic, yeah, magic trick. Magic should be some kind of a trick. But when I say mind reading, that cannot look like a trick, or rather should not look like a trick. Because if you say mind reading, it is mind reading. Oh my God, that is mind reading. So that is where the whole art form comes in. So the art form is to create an illusion, create a bubble, and seemingly read your mind, seemingly double quotes read your mind, which looks real. So the whole entire effort the artist puts in is to make that illusion look real, because we really cannot say these are tricks, which these are not actually. So these are not necessarily tricks. A lot of techniques being used, plenty amount of techniques being used. These are not necessarily tricks. At the same time, they're not real. This is pure
Hmm.
science, human science. So within which there is a lot of um, techniques that also come into place. That comes from the world of magic.
Yeah.
Mind reading is nothing but a very advanced psychological form of magic. Yeah. At the same time,
So
they're not completely tricks. There's a lot of real world human science also
yeah.
involved. Yeah.
Yeah. So you talk about, let's say, as human science. So what exactly does it take to form an illusion in someone's mind that they perform in a way that you want them to? Because I've seen some of your performances on your YouTube channel and some of the live shows that you've put out. It
Mhm.
genuinely seems that you are actually making that individual do you would want to perform that particular piece that you have put forward. So how does one do that?
That is what I'm talking about. That is when the whole practice comes into place. Uh,
So what exactly is a part of that practice is what I'm trying to understand. Let's say you
it's
you talk
it's
about
it's
human science. So what
it is a bit,
particularly in
again.
human science? So what
Uh, that's a tough question to answer because it's
behavior like
it's a tough question to answer, Ishan. It comes from various fields, a bit of mathematics, a bit of
right.
NLP, when I say NLP, neuro linguistic programming, a bit of
Mm,
magic, a bit of real human science like eye contact, handshake, induction. It's a different world. It's a whole different world. It comes from different fields. Um, yeah, it's a lot of scripting, verbal.
right.
Yeah, just understanding humans and understanding how they work. If you combine understanding humans with a few techniques like which comes from the world of magic, illusion, deception, lot of things combined together.
Mm-hmm.
It creates an illusion that one can generally do this. But if you ask me what if you ask me, Narpat, can you tell me what I'm thinking right now? If you asked me, can you tell me what I'm thinking right now? I can't.
Right.
Uh, at the same time, if you ask me, Narpat, can you show me something? Can you demonstrate something that looks like mind reading? And
Mm.
you also might be convinced it is mind reading, but I'm saying it is not because it's
Yeah.
just an act. But
Yeah.
the job is to make it look real. To make it look real, multiple components come into place. When
Right.
you play, it takes a lot of maturity to play that character. So that is why uh, not everybody can become a mentalist. So
Yeah.
it takes a lot of maturity because there's a lot of sense of power you feel, and
Mm.
it takes somebody who can handle it to be successful and to be also liked because this can come across as a very alpha kind of a character,
Mm.
which is not somebody everybody would like. So it takes a
Yeah.
lot of preparation, a lot of character building to make it look powerful at the same time likable, at the same time easy to work with. So yeah, that is what is my definition of mentalism.
Just to circle on that, I mean, I don't want to like spend a lot of time and bug you with this question, but you mentioned one of the techniques along with mathematics and other psychology techniques was NLP, and I've
Yeah,
heard this used in some other fields as well. They talk about how effective NLP is often marketing as well. Like they
yeah, yeah.
often put forward products in a way that it'll actually benefit what we would actually want to buy or what we'd want to actually want to see. So just for the viewers, maybe can you expand a little bit about NLP and how you may use it in your practice?
NLP did not. NLP is more widely used in the world of business, like you said,
Hmm.
sales, marketing,
Yeah.
and communication, all of that. But NLP started out as its own form. I think it's been used. It's been used since ages, but I forgot the name. I forgot the father of NLP, which is I think 19th century beginning is when it was coined as NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming. Before that, it's been used across industries, but I think there was not a proper name coined. I think it was a separate
Yeah.
industry altogether, and people have. It's just like a common thread. Anybody can pull the thread. So business people have pulled. We have pulled. Other people have pulled. So in terms of business, yeah, it is like what words to use at this moment. Let's say I'm halfway through the selling. If I do this, there's a better chance my product or my company or my whatever might be sold easier. Or if I did this, if I said this, if I moved my hands like this, if I had eye contact like this, a lot of specifics, there's a good chance that might convert. There's a good chance that might kind of enhance the whole experience. So that is NLP in terms of business. We have taken our kind of NLP, just like the way I explained, it's a common thread anybody can pull.
Hmm.
We use things like handshake in something called handshake induction. When you touch people,
Right. Right.
even if they don't know you, they kind of feel you are you're easy to work with. You're somebody with warmth, eye contact. There's something called mirroring. I can
Hmm.
after a point, I'll start. So beginning stage, I'll start mirroring you everything, the way you nod, the way you do everything. I'll start doing it very subtly. After a point, I'll take a lead and you'll start mirroring me. Yeah,
Okay.
very advanced techniques I'm talking about. But initially, it's eye contact, certain words at certain points, pause, when to pause. It's pure human science, and
Right.
everybody have taken the common thread, and they've applied it to their own industries.
This seems very interesting, and I actually can draw parallels to. So I'd watched this movie called Inception. I'm pretty sure you must have seen it as well. In
Yeah,
that, like Leonardo DiCaprio, he's given the task of planting a thought in someone else's mind,
yeah,
basically.
yeah,
Planting
yeah.
a planting a dream or a thought in someone else's mind. So I wouldn't say that, let's say, what you are doing is sort of in that lens,
It is kind
but
of. It is
but
kind of, yeah. Broadly,
but do you
yes.
see parallels to
very
How would you
it is
explain that in that your work?
a lot of parallels. I mean, I think parallels is just an understatement. It is almost what we do, except
Yeah.
we bring in. So with the same idea, we try to bring in charisma, storytelling, and multiple other things that makes it that kind of enhances the whole experience even better, and that is why it looks real. So I can create an illusion that I planted this thought into your head. I can create an illusion that I knew all this would happen this way uh, before even they would happen. I can do. I when I say I'm including all the other mentalists. Yes, we can.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you ask me, Narpad, is it real? Did you really do it? No. At the same time, other mentalists might choose to say, no, I might choose to say, it's purely up to their discretion, might choose to say, yeah, I really did it, but I will choose to say I did not. So yeah.
Just to play with this thought for a bit. So, do you think that at a point it can become scary, or let's say it becomes out of control? So, in like that movie, it's shown that through the work he's doing, you can actually plant a thought, and that individual then wants to live in that thought and doesn't want to come out. Do you think that's too far fetched, or do you think that through the work that mentalists do, mind readers do, that can actually happen in real life?
I think it's a little bit too far-fetched in terms of performing mentalism and mind reading, but in terms
Right.
of performing hypnotism, it can
Hmm.
happen. It
Right.
might happen. I mean, very very less chances, but that's why I'm saying it takes a lot of maturity to be this. I mean, you just really can't jump into these things without proper guidance and practice. And I'm talking when I say proper, I'm talking about years and years of practice and guidance, especially hypnotists. What you talk about planting a thought and them going into that loop. I'm not sure if cases have happened, but again, hypnotists have to be twice more
Yeah.
responsible than mentalists. At least we perform and we leave. At least we create an illusion, we leave. We entertain and we leave. Hypnotists have to be insanely careful.
The question I wanted to put forward is that, do you think that there are mentalists out there or hypnotists out there who would actually use these techniques for their advantage in achieving something that they'd want, let's say a business deal or let's say a relationship? Do you think that actually happens in the world, that they use, let's say,
Yes,
hypnosis or
yes,
mentalism?
yes. Uh, it's been used in multiple arenas. So one is business. Second is people like me who perform, who entertain. Third is a world that not everybody is comfortable with. That is not. So there's two more worlds I want to talk about. So two more worlds that the same techniques are being used, and rather than being used, I think it's more being exploited. World number one is your fake mediums and fake spiritualists who's kind of using the same techniques to achieve a different result, which is marketed in a different way, which is monetized in a different way.
Right.
Uh, I can talk to your dead dad. I can bring him here. I'm talking to him right now.
Right. Right.
Something down. All this is people. That is one industry. It is being exploited. Second industry is an industry called pickup. I mean, there's an industry called pickup industry, which Indians don't know of, but in the Western world, so many people. It's an industry on its own. There are pickup coaches who coach men and women on how to attract an opposite gender and do whatever they want to do with that. There are millionaire pickup coaches. In that industry also, a lot of these techniques are being used. When to have an eye contact, when to say what is the timing, how to go and go out, scripting, so many things. Yeah, these two worlds are being exploited with, and my industry we entertain. Another industry,
So,
it's pure cheating.
yeah.
But the base is almost very similar techniques, very very similar techniques.
Yeah, I mean, you touch upon it very well. I think it's on your website and on your social media platforms that you're not putting forward any spiritual influence. So, do you think, as you mentioned, that let's say because being brought up in, let's say, a Hindu background, it's often very common. Let's say my parents as well, they would generally look towards a pundit or someone like that, a spiritual priest, to finalize dates of a wedding or important business days in a year or something. So as you're mentioning, it's basically that some of the techniques you use is just that it's packaged in a different way when they're talking about it.
No, no, no. The techniques I use almost straight away come from the world of magic, which is the world of
Okay.
illusion, which is the world of techniques.
Right. Right.
The horoscope and astrology you're talking about is different,
It's totally different. Yeah.
absolutely different. We entertain, simple. We entertain. We just entertain because they can't claim themselves as entertainers, right? They claim themselves as real. You go
Yeah.
pay somebody to take your horoscope from or your astrology from. They say do
Hmm.
it, and we say
Yeah.
no. Come watch us,
Yeah.
leave. That's all. We entertain. So
Like
completely two different spectrums.
Narpat, I know like you're big into spirituality as well. Not
Yeah,
not in a sense of performing, but like just for your personal self and
yeah.
how you talk about it. So maybe could you touch upon that? Let's say one question I've always seen thrown about is for people who are maybe atheists and don't believe in a certain high being, a certain god. They often talk about religion. Do you see spirituality and religion being separate, or do you think that spirituality is just a culmination of religion? It's just a smaller part of religion.
I'm a strong believer whenever somebody talks about spirituality, it's the most subjective topic ever. Whenever somebody talks about what is spirituality to me, need not necessarily be what is yours. What is your definition on that? So spirituality for me, it's again I want to create a show on this. I mean I want to combine spirituality,
Hmm.
mentalism, and a little bit of comedy and a little bit of storytelling, and that is my quest of my life. The techniques the world I come from, the world I'm trying to understand, which is spirituality. When I'm just trying to create a show where I mix these two and produce a very new, give birth to a very new baby. Yeah, so I'm trying to call this God's child. So it is, which
Yeah.
is I just started the venture. It was going good until the lockdown happened. So yeah, so I'm trying to create merch on it, merchandise on it. I'm trying to create a offline show, online show, yeah, multiple things over the same idea. The idea is
Yeah.
God's child. I call this God's child 101 because it's the foundation of the idea. It's very simple. I mean,
Hmm.
it's although it sounds like a religious, some kind of a Christian missionary kind of name. It's got no religion. It's got no boundaries. It's got no gender. It's got no ethnicity. It's got nothing. So God's child is simple. There's so many billions on Earth. I mean, so many billions and billions of planets in the universe. First of all, we don't know how big the universe is. Secondly, we don't know
Of course.
how
Yeah.
many real, galaxies we have. The discovered galaxy is Milky Way, but we don't really know how many more galaxies could be existing.
Hmm.
What
Yeah.
if there is a billion more? Maybe there is a billion more. Maybe there is more life living on those billion more planets. Maybe we don't. Maybe I don't know. These are all
Hmm.
controversy topics. Conspiracy rather, not controversy. Sorry. Yes, and just these planets we have discovered. There is billion more planets, and yeah, and on Earth, if we are all discovered as human beings, and human beings is just 1 out of 10 million species. There is more than enough species on Earth, and human beings are just one. And when somebody says, I'm just one human being out of 8 billion people, to put themselves down, I think I think it's a very negative approach to life. So when somebody says, I'm just a human being, what we are capable of is unimaginable. We have not even explored 0.001 percentage. What we're capable of is unimaginable. So yeah, so it is more of an inspirational uh, idea combined with mind training, storytelling, and all of that. Let's see how this goes. That's my idea. Let's see.
Yeah. Say this concept of a godchild, and you want to bring together spirituality, mentalism, and aspects of comedy
Little bit, very subtle comedy, very
when you're
subtle comedy,
performing
and
it.
more of mind reading. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you say that you believe in, let's say, you believe in someone like a god then?
God is very subjective. What is God should not be what is God for you. My definition of God is, I don't know, it's just love. I mean, I never
Hmm.
believed in religion. And what I'm going to say right now, I'm not sure if I have to say this or not, but I think I'll say this.
Right.
I don't even believe in boundaries. When I say boundaries, I don't even believe in physical boundaries. I don't much believe in countries, because if India decided to draw the line
Right.
little bit, half a kilometer that side, and that would have been Pakistan today, that would have been India to yesterday. So it is the boundaries, countries, all
Yeah.
that we claim that these are so many. How do I say? I mean, we are so emotional with all of these things, and we're killing each other with all of these things. Just a boundary line. So I don't even believe in all of that. I
Hmm.
think everything is equal to everybody, equal to every species. There should be no bias in terms of. I don't believe in anything. Everybody's equal. That is my definition of God. In fact, my definition
Yeah.
of God is equality, uh,
Right.
which is a longer topic to kind of go into. But yeah.
For someone who's maybe an atheist and doesn't believe in God and doesn't prescribe that, often we move on to a sort of nihilism. And nihilism is basically when you don't believe in anything, you think that life is not worth living as it comes towards the question of morality of life, basically. Do you have any particular thoughts on that?
Uh, again, it's a very subjective answer. Some people, the definition of God to them is a deity. For some people, they have to go to temples. For some people, they have to really pray to something. Some people think nature is God. Some people think love is God. Like, I think equality is God.
Yeah.
So there is no. I think there's no question. It's very subjective. As long as anybody is doing, as long as somebody chooses to do something bad with their belief in God, I think any definition of God is fine. But but sadly, what is happening to the current world is
Yeah.
people have taken the idea of God to a different perception that is not meant to happen. Even if God is watching, we don't even know if it's a he or a she. The irony is, we don't even know if it's a he or a she,
Hmm.
or maybe we don't know the form of God. But male chauvinists have chosen to call God he, which is funny, which is really funny. Nobody has a proof that God is he, right? Everything is man-made. Everything is bloody man-made. So yeah, so
Yeah.
what is happening is brutally sick. What should be happening is ideal, but it is just a few people
So
who
that's very interesting. I mean, sorry, I didn't get the last part.
same thing. So what is happening is brutally sick.
Yeah, yeah,
What
yeah.
should happen is ideal, but not practical.
No, but I would like to explore like what your definition of God is, if you're happy with, if you're open to discuss it. So when you say God as a measure of equality, what do you actually mean by that? What do you mean by that?
My definition is, I approach God through just one term. Yeah, of course, equality. When I say equality, what I mean is, I'm breathing right now. I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out.
Hmm.
The same air is being breathed by somebody else in the next apartment, or somebody else. There's some kind of work going on in the
Yeah.
apartment, and
Right.
somebody is inhaling it, and he's giving it out, and maybe at the same time parallelly trees are also doing it. When trees are
Hmm.
doing it, other organisms are also taking in and giving out. So if you look at it, but without breathing, none of us can exist.
Hmm.
All of us will die without breathing, right?
Yeah.
The core basis of life is breathing, and the core basis of life is water, right? Without these two things, we can the core of course there's more food, shelter, and all of that. The core base, because you can live without food also for a quite stretched amount of time, but you cannot live without water. Food also
Right.
comes late in the chain. The two core is what your breathing and your water. that is common to all. When it rains, it does not. It's not like God is choosing. Okay, I'll make it rain for this person um, a little more because
Yeah.
he's rich, or because he comes from this kind of an ethnicity, or he prays to me. Nothing of that sort, right? It's just common to all of us. So my definition of God is oneness and equality. Everybody is same. Everybody is equal. Um, so if I think so, the idea of thinking of God in terms of equality and oneness is so when I think that way, I respect my own birth. I respect my own
Hmm.
existence. And when I think you are an equal to me, I will respect you as much as I will respect me. So if that expression, if that emotion spreads across the entire community, that community becomes a city, that city becomes a nation, that nation becomes a country, that country becomes the world, that world becomes the universe. Imagine how much of a better life all of us will be living. So which is insanely ideal, I know, but yeah, I would love to live my
Yeah.
life that way. uh, so I'm just trying to spread whatever I can to the people I can. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's everybody's choice. Life is a choice. So
So, so basically, like, thing is when we talked about this theory of your concept of equality and how same air that the trees may breathe in and the animals take in, don't you think that's a little unjust? Because when we look at single-celled organisms, which is the biology, don't you think, let's say, the single-celled organisms then don't require? Don't you think in that particular case your theory unjust, or it's not looking at the whole picture?
you are taking a very scientific approach. Yes, there might be few exceptions. I'm taking a very human approach. If
Right.
I condition my brain this way, I get to live a I think in my opinion I get to live a more profound life where there is a lot of
Right, right.
self-respect. There's a lot of self-respect, and at the same time there is equal amount of mutual respect.
Hmm.
I'm not taking a very scientific approach, as you said, that could be an exception, but yeah, I'm taking a very human approach. As I always say, it's very subjective. Everything is subjective. Everything regarding anything that regards to a human being, we are so complex. It is maybe the beauty of God. Uh,
Yeah.
in that sentence, also it's subjective. No, the definition of God is subjective. So just
Right.
yeah. So you're taking a scientific
So
approach. I would like to take a human approach, more about feelings and emotion, and not a very scientific approach. Yeah, as you said, scientific approach. If we
no,
take that could be an exception. Yeah.
yeah. No, I mean, that's pretty interesting to consider. And I think this would be a great question to ask you because you are into meditation and spirituality in that sense. So this is about, let's say, consciousness. What do you make of consciousness? Do you think it's something that's just atoms in our brain that are working in a way that create a sort of consciousness, which we haven't yet discovered how they do that, the crux of it is, or do you think it's something mystical? Do you think it connects us to a higher being or something like that?
I think it's being still being explored. I don't know. I think this is my imagination. This I
Hmm.
don't know if these things are true or not. I think the capability or the possibility of a human being is not even touched upon. I think maybe if there is a superpower, and that superpower has given us infinity. I think infinity amount of explorations. So it won't end at all. So nobody can say this is consciousness.
Right.
Nobody can say this is the end of consciousness, and maybe there's
Hmm.
one more layer. I think it's never ending. I think it's a loop. That is why I'm a strong believer that uh, the capability of exploration for a human being available is infinity. So we don't know. If you talk to somebody who's probably attained, let's say if we could interview, let's say Buddha, commercially Buddha
Uh,
is kind of unparalleled with consciousness, right? I mean, at least by the stories of it, we don't know what really happened. At least by the scripture and by the stories of it, he's the figure
hmm.
that we compare consciousness with, right? if we had the great opportunity to probably interview him, I think he will say, I don't know. He will say, probably he will say, I'm still exploring. I don't know. Because there's no end. Because every time somebody, in
Right.
terms of spirituality and in terms of meditation, all of that, I think I think there is no climax. Although the people who would have attained some kind of a climax, they might want to assume that this is the climax. I like to assume that there is no climax. I mean, it's infinity. As long
Right.
as humans exist, there will be somebody who will be pushing it to next level, next level, next level, and that is never ending. So yeah, that is my answer.
Do you think other life forms on the planet or in the universe have a sense of consciousness as well?
What I'm saying it's beautiful
Still.
how
So
we don't know. The problem with this is this cannot be
yeah.
proven by science. This nobody can say this is the formula. This is the formula because it's on a very spiritual and a very energy kind of level. Science cannot pass through it. Uh, Somebody can counter argue, yeah, no, science can pass through anything. But there's so many things science cannot pass through, have not passed through.
Hmm.
There has been so many things, so many instances science could not prove. There has been so many stories of human beings who have come out of chronic cancers, who
Hmm.
have kind of healed themselves out of chronic, uh, uh, very deadly diseases, very deadly disorders, and doctors have said no chance.
Yeah.
I don't have an explanation for this. And these people have just meditated. These people have just uh, kind of got in touch with the divine. And this can neither be disproved by science nor be proved by science. Yeah, there's so many instances, so many stories, so many documentaries, so many people have come out of chronic, deadly, fatal things, and they've still survived, which doctors and scientists themselves are just looking at it with no explanation. So that
Yeah.
is
I mean, you touched upon, let's say, meditation over there. So let's say when you undergo meditation, I think you've touched upon this in a previous interview that you like to go to Rishikesh as a place where you want to meditate and spend time with yourself. When you're meditating, what is there something specific you're looking at, or do you let yourself be and see where it takes you, basically?
there is no method to my meditation. My mine is very simple. I just try to go blank. Meditation is very simple. It is not complex at all. Thoughts coming into a human being's mind is nature. Meditation is just not paying attention to that thought. Thought comes, it goes, comes, goes, comes, goes. And at a point, you will feel that the number of thoughts that are coming into your mind is kind of going down. After a point, it might hit a zero. I'm talking
Mm.
about years and years of practice. Um, and if somebody could say that is going back to my previous point, nobody can say that is the climax, that is the end of it. Maybe the next layer is to stay in that layer for half an hour more. Maybe the next layer is to keep having a blank mind for 1 hour. And time is nobody can restrict time. Time is never ending, right? Just applying the same idea here.
Yeah.
Maybe the next
Yeah.
layer is to stay in that for 2 days, and that is never ending.
Mm.
Yeah. So it's highly
Do you
mystical.
say when you touch? Yeah.
It's insanely mystical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You touched upon this thing that, and I think I've experienced in the short bits of practice meditation. I've actually seen that over a few days, it'll be initially much tougher for you to concentrate. But over let's say a period of time, it'll become easier. And what I mean by easier is that you aren't distracted as much. You feel that there are, as you mentioned, there are fewer thoughts coming into your mind.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
when you touched
this
upon, let's say when you come to a point when there are no thoughts at all in your mind, do you think this is what, let's say, the Buddhists talk about as being nothingness? Is what the goal of life is basically to achieve a sort of place where nothing matters as such. It's called nothingness.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it is nothingness and detachment. So it is
Right.
just being detached from what is happening. It does not mean you're not bothered. It just
Right.
means nature will work whether I live or die, you live or die, or it doesn't matter. Nature will work. Nature will keep
Hmm.
working. It is more of surrendering, I think, in my opinion. Going back to your previous question, my way of meditating is just being thankful. That is all I do.
Yeah.
I don't know any specific kind of meditation. I don't know any. I'm not following any guru. Nothing. I'm just
Hmm.
being thankful.
Hmm.
My entire process is just start thanking people, start thanking that I'm alive, start thanking the trees that is giving me air to breathe in, that's keeping me alive. uh, I'm getting food, I'm living in an apartment, I'm being able to pay my bills, everything is happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a gift. It's when you look outside, there's so many people who have nothing, right?
Hmm.
And we cannot complain at all. Nobody can complain. I mean, of course, people who are living on the streets will complain. But if somebody understood what is real life, you're just thankful. You're absolutely thankful. That's all. Thankful for being born. First of all, being born as a human being is a very rare thing, which goes back to my idea of God's child. It is highly rare, given the mathematics of it. With so many
Hmm.
undiscovered galaxies, universe, galaxies, planets, 10 million more
Yeah.
species, and given all the mathematics, being born as a human being is rare mathematically also. So when you understand that, you understand your self-worth. That is all. That my entire God's child idea is that self-worth. When I understand my self-worth, I understand yours, because going back to my idea, you're equal. When I understand your self-worth, I respect your self-worth. And that's a mutual feeling. When everybody gets that feeling, it becomes an emotion. And that if that becomes the norm, that is the most ideal world, but that won't happen. Practically, it won't happen. Yeah.
Right.
But at least
Do you
you can, yeah.
do you sorry, this is going more on, let's say, a spirituality tangent than some of the other questions have been in other interviews through mentalism, but this is, I'm enjoying this, so let's explore this more, I guess. So do you think, let's say, you believe in something as an afterlife, as you mentioned, that it's very rare in your opinion? Let's say we can talk through mathematics, that to be born as a human being is a very rare phenomena and we should cherish it and live our life to the fullest. So do you think that there's an aspect of afterlife, let's say if he has done what some people call as karmas in this particular life, they are rewarded as a better form of life in the next.
I think so. I've given all these
Basically,
things.
yes.
I've given all these things a much deeper thought. I've kind
Hmm.
of gone mad, understanding,
Yeah.
parallel life, previous life, next life. I have no proof. I don't think anybody can give you proof on it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Science
of course.
cannot
Yeah.
bypass. That's what I'm saying. Science cannot bypass all this. Once,
Hmm.
according to science, what is science? According to science, when I die, I'm buried, or I'm gone.
Yeah.
I'm physically gone. Nobody on earth, no science can prove do I have a soul or not. When you say
Yeah. Yeah.
soul, nobody can see a soul. Nobody has touched a soul, right?
Yeah.
Nobody knows, because nobody can die and come back and give an interview. This is what happened to me
Hmm.
after I died.
Hmm.
Although
Yeah.
although there are a few near-death experiences people talk about, that I was flying in the sky, all of a sudden I came back alive and all of that. I don't know. I've not been there. But nobody left this world completely, and nobody went to a different world. Nobody knows if there is a different world. Nobody came back to
Hmm.
this world and gave an interview. So that's what I'm saying. Science cannot bypass
Yeah.
these things. I don't know. I'd like to believe. Again, I come down to, I'm trying to remove all the scientific aspects out of it, because I don't know science.
Yeah.
I'm trying to push all this more towards the human side. If I just believed, if I tried my best to be a decent, at least decent human being, if not great, if there is an afterlife, believing in karma, my next life also will be as good as this. So that keeps me away from doing bad things.
Right.
That is all my, I don't know science, I don't know numbers, I don't know anything. If I just tried my best, if I tried living the best version of Narpat in this life, if that is going to reflect in my next life, if there is one questionable, I don't know. I don't know. If there is one, at least it's serving this life, right? At least I'm saving some lives, or at least I'm giving, I'm whatever good I'm doing, whether there is next life or not. At least if I think there is next life, and I will be, if I do good things in this life, that will reflect onto my next life. At least it keeps me
Yeah.
a good person in this life, and it's affecting so many people in a very positive manner. I don't know if there is next life or not. I like to assume there is one. So that keeps me going. That keeps me, that motivates me to be a decent person, if not a great person, at least not a harmful person. Yeah. I don't know if I answered your
Right.
question
Yeah. No, I do
right.
believe in that. And no, I mean, it's a sort of question I don't think anyone in the world will be able to answer. So it's just that I'd like to get people's opinions on what they
Yeah, yeah.
think in that sense. But so this brings to the other question. So yeah, I think that's a good way of looking at it, because even if we do not know that there is an afterlife, or even if, let's say, there isn't an afterlife, I think it's a good way to go about things, because then I think I mentioned this previously. So this doesn't bring us to the aspect of nihilism in our life, where we think that nothing really matters, so why should I even do anything as a result? But if you actually believe in a higher being, not believe, let's say, if you then you actually sort of live a more productive life, and you are basically more sane, if that makes sense.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. So it is just evolution, I think. I mean, I was not the same some 2 years back, and I would have not been the same 2 years, a little bit more back. It's just
Hmm.
evolution, and we keep progressing. So next year, if we have a conversation, I might be a different person in terms of understanding life and all of that. I think it's never ending. I mean, exploration is never ending. Same answers.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
nobody can place a
Yeah.
full stop to it. Nobody can say that's all. End, because it's unimaginable. If I could meet
So
God, I don't. It's
you've talked this.
unimaginable. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you've talked a lot about this, that it's been very, science hasn't come out with an objective answer for, let's say, aspects such as
Yeah.
spirituality, consciousness, and all these things. So very lot of advancements in artificial intelligence, and how there have been companies such as Neuralink by Elon Musk, who are basically looking into getting aspects such as putting on or a hat on, which would actually have a computer access your brain and try to basically fire neurons in a way that basically help us go about in our life. Do you think artificial intelligence will basically, how much do you believe in artificial intelligence? Do you think that very important for us to look into it right now, or do you think that there's still a lot to be what people are actually putting out?
Absolutely. The science. What I'm saying is science is insanely effective, but science also
Hmm.
has limits. Because why? Science is also created by people like you and me, who are still
Yeah.
human beings, right? I think, in my opinion, I think if there is a God, he or she, whatever form that is, it's a game he or she is playing. It's just, I've given infinity to you, play with it. I've given infinity to play with it. Maybe
Yeah.
he or she is just watching. That's all. So science also is being created by people like you and me, right? Who are still human beings. If
Yeah.
I could be like, even if I'm Elon Musk placing some kind of an equipment on somebody's head, connected all neurons, that has got limit. It's got a limit.
Do you think our judgment as human, I think by that is when we can look at examples. I think there was this very interesting study done where scientists put like animals. There were deer, cats, dogs, several animals, and they put themselves in front of a mirror. There were some animal species who could the person, the thing they were looking at the mirror was themselves, but the others did not. They thought that there was a totally separate person species. So do you think that we have a blind spot in our head that we have made so many advancements in mathematics and string theory, but do you think that for us to understand the purpose of life, what the universe, we don't, because it's just a blind spot in our head. We can't make it out because to understand that, like it's for the animals to understand that particular concept.
For sure, yeah. So, although humans, we would like to assume that we are the supreme of
Yeah.
all the species. Maybe we are, in a broad sense. But what dogs can, what animals can do, we can't. Uh, we naturally can't. We can train ourselves to be that, but we naturally can't. So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's insanely fascinating.
Yeah.
I used to be somebody, just for information, I used to be somebody as much as I can remember, I argued all my entire life against God. Atheist, self-proclaimed atheist. Can you show me God? Can you physically show me God? I was one of those guys until a few real magic, not the kind of magic I do, until real magic happened and my eyes just opened up. And it is not being a Hindu, Muslim, Christian. It is not
Yeah.
being Indian, American, or nothing. It's unimaginable how nature works, how plants work, we can't, how trees work, how animals work, how look at our own body. Two hands, two legs, talking. Can somebody define emotion? So the best example that God can exist is emotion. I have an emotion right now, right? I cannot touch it, I cannot feel it. It is just mine.
Hmm.
If I convey my emotion to you, it's a message to you. You could be even my mom, for example, right? The mom also can understand and feel my emotion. Maybe the maximum maybe is 99 percentage. That rest 1 percentage even she can't. I'm bringing in mom because mom is the most, yeah, the most closest
Yeah.
the most closest relationship one can assume, right? But that complete 100% emotion is mine, and these things cannot exist without a creator. And when I say creator, I'm giving it no name. It could even be a group of people, I
Hmm.
don't know. It could be an organization, I don't know.
Hmm.
They could be, I don't know, they could be private
Yeah.
limits, I
Yeah.
don't know. They could be, there could be a GST registration, I don't know, but there should be something there because
when
we,
when
and
you
even
talk about sorry, yeah, sorry to cut you off. Yeah.
sorry, no, no, even in terms of animals, we have not discovered all kinds of animals. People are still
Hmm.
discovering a new genre of an animal inside a sea.
Yeah.
People are still
Yeah.
discovering germs,
Every
new
day. Yeah.
animals every day. That's what I'm saying. It's never ending, unimaginable.
Yeah. Very interesting tangent to go down into. So when you talk about, let's say, a group of individuals, let's say, controlling the whole thing, have you ever given a thought of, let's say, if you're living in a simulation, if you're living in a computer simulation, that everything that we are another organism, let's say another human form or another alien form, is just we're just a part of the computer, of their supercomputer. Have you
It's
given that
it's
a
it,
thought ever?
yeah. It's fun to uh, leave your imagination onto that world. Uh, yeah, I've it's fun, but I don't know. Maybe this is the parallel world. Maybe we are the aliens. I've given that a thought. Maybe
Yeah,
we are the
right.
aliens.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Maybe we just a simulation. Maybe we just
yeah. Exactly. Yeah,
maybe we just game somebody is playing.
yeah. No, I mean,
Maybe
because it's very interesting, because if you look at, let's say, advancements in virtual reality, and I'm sorry if the viewers have already heard this, but I've talked about this in in a previous podcast. Actually, have if you've ever played one of these virtual reality games, you can actually see the game zone, where you can people actually enjoy it so much more, that particular version of the game that someone's created, that when they come out of that world, they don't like the real world as they feel as that inside a virtual reality.
I can
And
imagine. I
how
can
and how much
imagine.
advancements one can genuinely, this is a virtual reality that someone has created, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, again, is also technology is science, also human beings, and uh, so 50 years down the line, virtual reality will not be the same virtual reality that is today. Today, it
Exactly.
might look
Yeah.
advanced.
Yeah.
50 years
Exactly.
down the line, it will look even more advanced, and that is never ending.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it is, yeah, God has given us one thing, that is a brain. That the potential of that brain is never ending. Uh,
We still don't know how powerful that is.
we
If you,
don't know.
yeah,
We don't know. Maybe,
yeah,
maybe
exactly. Yeah,
Einstein,
we know more
maybe
about.
some.
We know. Yeah.
Yeah, please go on. Go on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, we know more about, say, our galaxy and how many planets there are, and more about galaxies than
That is
our
also
own
a
brain, if that makes
discovery. That
sense.
is also what is discovered. What is not
Exactly. Yeah.
discovered, we
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
No,
don't
you
know
were
at all.
saying something about
Yeah, no, no. In terms
Einstein.
of brain capacity, I think
I'm sorry.
I think I read a data somewhere. I'm not sure. I'm not sure the numbers. Einstein has used his brain 18%, something of that sort.
Right.
And a
Right.
regular human being has just uh, uh, given access to
That's the
3%,
scraps.
4%.
Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
certainly very interesting. Yeah. No, I mean, there's this other thing I wanted to talk to you about, and this comes back to mentalism, I guess. I'm not sure, but it's this aspect of the law of attraction. I've heard you talk about this in some of your shows, but just expand upon it, I guess, and just give me your version of what you make of the law of attraction.
It's very simple. What I think, so my thoughts become words, my words become action. It's not complicated at all. My thoughts become words, my words become actions. That those actions will have whatever kind of result that action has to produce, right? The basis of everything is a thought. In fact, uh, you and I are a thought. Our parents thought of creating us, right? If you look at it that way, our parents thought of creating us. We today I look this way, I talk this way. That is all based on the conditioning I've gone through, the culture and all of that. But I was just a thought in somebody's mind, my dad's mind, or my mom's mind, right? And same with everybody. So everything starts with a thought. When we can, with practice, control what you think, that's all. You can create anything you want. If I plant a thought I want to kill you, I'll kill you. If I
Mm,
plant a thought I want to save you, I will save you.
right.
So that is all. That is law of attraction. So when I plant a specific thought, that will have a specific desired result. That that result is based on the thought I have, on the thought I planted. So if I want to attract
Mm.
good things, I think of good things. If I attract bad things, I will always attract bad things. How many times have we been
The,
depressed and sad? You just find another
yeah.
sad person. You
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
find another sad person. How many times have you gone to a concert where everybody is happy? You just strike up
Mm,
a conversation with somebody random who don't even know, who's also happy. Why? The entire energy of that space is happiness.
yeah.
So yeah, it's not a
But
complex idea.
not fall into a trap of, let's say, as you mentioned, that if you are, let's say, surrounded by people who are unhappy or don't have the most positive mindset, that you will eventually fall into that. Is there a way of breaking out of that particular mindset, do you think, or it's inevitable that
No,
if
no,
you're
no.
surrounded by that particular group of friends
No, no,
or
no,
group
no,
of family
no,
members?
no. Absolutely not. I mean, it just takes a kind of a mind shift. It just takes kind of a distraction. That's all. It is not inevitable. I mean, anybody can snap out of any kind of mental trauma. any kind of mental and physical trauma. Anybody can snap out of it if they want to, if they wish to.
Right.
If that individual does not want to, cannot happen. No matter what kind of even if you brought down Tony Robbins or the biggest trainer on the world, if that person does not want to, they can't. So just a basic willingness to come out of that. Anybody can come out of anything, whether it's mental or physical, doesn't matter.
Hmm. I mean, I would like to take this conversation towards. I'm not sure if you've discussed about this in anywhere else, but you've shared interest about your love for football as well. So I'd just like
Mm.
to know about which particular football club you support.
I am a
Because I'm a
I'm a
football fan myself. Just like to
Oh yeah, I think looking at you, not being a mind reader, looking at you, you are not
understand.
you don't support the same club I do, but if it did, I'll be really happy. I support United, Manchester United.
Wow. You'll be shocked by the answer I give you.
You too?
I support Liverpool Football Club.
Let's see. We both are straight rivals, right? So,
Yeah.
but
I
yeah, I
mean,
became a fan of them those days. I mean, I'm talking about Paul Scholes and David Beckham and Ryan Giggs, and I stuck
yeah,
to it. Yeah. Otherwise, my all-time favorite player is the real Brazil Ronaldo.
right.
Because of him is
Fair
when I really
enough.
fell in love with the game. Yeah,
Do you think that there are good things to come for United? Are you Ole in? Are you Ole out?
I'm all in. I'm all in. Yeah,
Ole in.
I
And
mean
why
it's
is
got it's
that?
got better.
Why
It's
is that?
got better. I can see signs. I can see a lot of signs that this team can improve. Maybe not as much as Liverpool. What you guys have done is unimaginable.
Hmm.
What Klopp has done, what the signings and every position is strong. Every
Everything. Yeah.
even Keita can play. Even Keita can, if there is no
Hmm.
Henderson, Keita can still play. If there is
Of
no
course. Yeah.
Salah, somebody else. If there's no Salah, Firmino can.
Origi. Yeah.
Origi can play, or
Yeah.
Wijnaldum, he can play. So we don't have the strength yet. Maybe when if Sancho comes in, maybe if Grealish comes in, maybe
Yeah.
if Pogba and who's the other guy, new guy, Portugal,
Oh,
Bruno,
Fred. Oh,
Bruno.
he's Brazilian. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe
But
if
yeah,
Pogba and Bruno can find a
Bruno's done well
partnership.
though. Yeah.
Maybe if
Yeah.
all these things can happen, maybe we can come back. But again, beating Liverpool for EPL Championship, maybe practically 2 3 years, at least to imagine.
Hmm.
Imagine.
Hmm.
Yeah, so 5 to 6 years of work, I think. Practically, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Something I really like to observe in, let's say, football is, so people in the media really talk about it. I don't know how far-fetched that is, but they glorify, let's say, managers in a way that they're, let's say, very psychological. When you look at examples such as Mourinho, that he's not with the press in a certain way that he wants to bring them. So, as a mind reader, as someone who works in, let's say, understanding people and how they behave, do you
Mhm.
feel that's actually true, or do you think that it's just blown out of proportions by the media of how the managers behave in press conferences and just how they are?
I think being a manager is it's a little bit more difficult than being a player. I think I don't know
Hmm. Hmm.
because the kind of pressure you have is unimaginable, and you come you take up a team, you come with your your kind of preparation and you're kind of playing the game, you're kind of approaching the game, and you really cannot compromise on it because that is your philosophy. That is what has
Yeah.
made you a manager, right? And imagine you have to control so many things. You have to control business, you have to control players, you have to control results, you have to test and try, you have to experiment. There's an insane amount of pressure. And despite all of this happening, you still have to win and show results. And you have to answer your club's owner. You take ownership of whether it's a failure or success. You have to take ownership of that. So it's an unimaginably responsible job. So I think
Hmm.
it is not blown out of proportion in terms of how media is showing this, because it's the pressure is unimaginable.
But do you think, let's say, the managers play with the minds of, let's say, their players and a message that they want to put across in a press conference? Like, it's been very famously put out that Jose Mourinho, when he goes into a press conference, he already has an agenda. No matter what the press members ask him, he will inevitably put forward whatever he wants to get out of that press conference. Do you think that there's a lot of psychology that comes into play, or that's
I think
basically
in
where I
that
wanted to take that?
context, more than psychology, I think it's just business coming into place.
Right.
Pure business. He'll have certain, Mourinho will have to follow certain instructions that has been laid out by the club, that has been laid out by the owner of the club or the committee of the club, that he cannot, that he really can't bypass, and
Hmm.
it might be a breach of policy to bypass, and maybe he has to stick to it. So that
But
is business, I think, more than
hmm.
psychology, I think.
But don't you think, let's say, staying with the example of Mourinho, if you've seen, let's say, his classic games such as Inter versus Barcelona, where he beat the Barcelona side, basically playing mind games with the Barcelona side.
In terms of that, yes, there will be a lot of Mourinho will have a team. Mourinho might have hired a team who will
Hmm.
teach the team mindset, who will teach the team psychology, analyzing every single player in the opponent team, and creating a strategy tailor-made for that game.
Hmm.
So, so it's a contribution from people from all angles, applying that angle to that specific game. So it's preparation for every game. If Inter was playing Barca, it was preparation specifically
Yeah.
tailor-made for that specific game to win just that game. So you really
Yeah.
there is no one
Yeah.
all fit one formula.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
answering your question, there'll be uh, people who train mindset. There'll be people who train visualization to the team. There'll be people who'll approach the game in a very football manner, very technical. And Mourinho
Hmm.
will come from different background. So it is an effort in terms of energy, in terms of knowledge from people from different walks of life, from different expertise, applying it to one specific game and one specific sport. Yeah. So
That's
that has led Mourinho to win that specific game. Does not mean the
yeah.
same methodologies applied to any game will make him win.
No, yeah. No, I guess that's very true in that sense. But listen,
Correct.
Narpat, I think I had a great time speaking to you. I think I got to know a lot about mentalism and how people in that space operate and practice, and even talking about things such as spirituality and aspects about God. I found it really interesting. Like anything where people can find your work or any of your social media platforms, do feel free.
No, nothing. I mean, I'm just looking for no. I'm nothing. If people find this interesting, they can Google me, they can Instagram me, and I'm
Yeah.
available on all platforms. Yeah, if people find this interesting, they can reach out to me for questions. That is all. Otherwise, as long as
Yeah.
everybody lives a happy life, it does not mean how many people
Yeah.
follow you. Does not mean the numbers don't
Yeah,
matter at
that's
all.
true.
Yeah.
Hey man, thanks a
Hey,
lot for
thanks a
being
lot,
here.
Ishan.
I had a
Thanks
great
for
time. I hope we can do it sometime, maybe if you're in Delhi when we're sitting down
yes.
close to each other. Yeah. All
When it
right.
becomes normal to shake hands and meet people and all of that, I will
Yeah.
definitely be in Delhi. Otherwise, thanks for reaching out. I hope I made some sense to you and your listeners. Thank you. It's been my pleasure to talk to you and talk to your listeners. And all of you keep smiling. Have a beautiful
No, for
life.
sure, for sure.
Bye bye.